My name is David Kelly. I'm the Executive Director of the British Chamber of Commerce here in Singapore. It really is wonderful to see so many of your faces again. Networking remains a massive priority of the Chamber, and whilst there are still a number of restrictions that we are adhering to, we're still really keen to boost the connectivity of members with events like this to help you to make more connections and to meet other members on events such as this. For those that attended our Chinese New Year event last year, which was at the Singapore Cricket Club, it was our last physical event where we all got together. I can't believe I'm actually saying that because I can't believe how much we've all gone through over the last year. And whilst tonight's session does not involve an in-person lohe, so sadly no dangers of me wearing the celebration on my shirt again, we do have a fantastic session for you this evening. And I hope that you enjoy learning a little more about Chinese New Year culture and its festivities. We'll take a quick group photo after the presentation that we receive, and we will then head into breakout rooms as well for some networking. But before we get started, I just want to say a quick thank you to Harry's Bar, our beverage partners, for supporting this evening. If you'd like to visit Harry's Bar on Boat Quay over the next few days, you can enjoy a complimentary bottle of Tiger Crystal and a coaster. So especially good for those of you who have just resurfaced from dry January. You'll receive all the details via email following today's session. So let's get to it. I'm really pleased to welcome Shaun Choh, who is the Assistant Curator at the Singapore Chinese Cultural Centre, to our webinar today. Shaun has worked on the Centre's permanent exhibition, Singapore, Discovering Chinese Singaporean Culture. And his research looks into Singapore popular culture, Chinese religions, and Chinese history. So I can't think of anybody better to be with us today. So today we'll hear a little bit more about Singapore's Chinese New Year, customs, and how they've evolved and how they've developed into their modern day versions as we welcome in the Year of the Ox. There will be a Q&A function after the presentation, so please do enter your questions into the chat box and we'll address these after Shaun's piece. So Shaun, like many of our guests today, I'm sure they have their, and I have my diary of reunion dinners and family meetings over the coming weeks to celebrate Chinese New Year, so I can't wait for your presentation. A very warm welcome from all of us at the Chamber of Commerce here, and Shaun, the virtual floor is now all yours. Thanks, Shaun.
Okay, thanks, David, for introducing me. I'd like to share my slides now. So the presentation is basically really about how is a Chinese New Year Singaporean. Because Chinese New Year, if you go to Malaysia, Taiwan, Hong Kong, we have all different ways of celebration. So my focus would largely be on how is this a Singaporean style. And the content of this talk is largely from a permanent exhibition from my workplace, which is the Singapore Chinese Cultural Centre. So if you'd like to know more, just visit our centre. There's a permanent exhibition on level 2, a lot of content that's related to Chinese New Year. It's open throughout the New Year period as well. Okay, so why Chinese New Year? How do we celebrate? Why did this festival come about? So, of course, 5,000–6,000 years ago, there was this very scary creature that it was called Nian. So the word year is pronounced as Nian in Chinese. And there's this scary creature, it's called Nian. And every year on a certain day, it would actually turn out in the city and people want to scare it away because it eats people, eats children. So what they did was actually to have lion dance. Okay, so lion dance, ferocious as well, to scare away this Nian creature. And then it was said that red color is a color that it's afraid of. So everyone wears red during this period, on this day as well. And they knock on pots and pans, all this noise, sounds to scare this ferocious creature away. And this was how Chinese New Year started, according to legend. Then in today's world, Chinese New Year is celebrated over 15 days. So this is according to the lunar calendar. And of course, when I say 15 days, day 1 until day 15, but the gathering starts on the eve. So Chinese New Year's Eve, where the most important meal of the year takes place in Chinese families. We call it the reunion dinner. In Chinese, it's called 团圆饭. And this goes on for 15 days, meaning that on every day, you can visit Chinese families, have what we call 拜年, which is basically paying respects, to make friends, to wish a Happy New Year. But on specific days, there will be events that and customs that you must observe, which I'll go into later on. So reunion dinner is the most important meal. Okay, why is this so? Today's world in Singapore, we are so small, so there's no such issue as saying that you can't meet your parents or families for meals. But of course, in ancient China, it's not the case, where families, if they actually live apart, they have to travel really very far to get back home. So my professor in school used to tell me that traveling today is very romantic, take a plane, go somewhere for fun. But if you look at literature, in Chinese literature, there's no such thing as fun holiday, because whenever if you take a bowl cart, can you imagine when there are no flat roads? It was actually very torturous. They say people actually describe the whole journey as a torture, so nothing that's very romantic at all. That's why people didn't find it easy to go back home, but for the New Year, they must have a reunion dinner where the whole family comes together. So this is the most important meal. Most of the time, because if you look at today's society, there is a male, there's a female. So the most important meal is usually reserved for the male family. So if you're a wife, you go to your husband's family for this reunion dinner. And if the wife's side, it might be the weekend before that. So that's why if you go to restaurants this weekend, there will be a lot of bookings. This is largely for the maternal side dinner. For next week, there'll be more paternal side dinner. So that's how they show the hierarchy. And on this night itself, which is the last day of the lunar calendar, there's this thing called shou sui, which is staying up. There was this saying that for kids, you must always sleep after 12 p.m. or 12 a.m. or 1 a.m. Must pass the new year. Why so? If you are such a filial son or daughter to do this, your parents are said to live a long age. So it's basically for longevity's sake. And on the first day of New Year, this is something very unique to societies outside China, okay? That people will run to temples and to try to actually plant the first joss stick. Okay, in Singapore, along Waterloo Street, the Chinese temple, the Goddess of Mercy temple, there'll be long queues, but this year, because of COVID, it's been cancelled. People actually rush in to plant the first joss stick. No one actually knows who is the first one, because people, if you look at the photo on the right side, you will know people just throw the joss sticks in. In Singapore, it's safer, but if in Hong Kong and Taiwan, the joss sticks might actually burn, so it causes a lot of fire hazard. But this is in Singapore, Taiwan, Hong Kong, Malaysia. It's a popular custom. They believe this brings good luck. And of course, on the first day of Chinese New Year, we go about exchanging Mandarin oranges. So the first day, usually you will go to your parents' house, or you go to your spouse's parents' house. Okay, so this very important custom in Singapore is to exchange Mandarin oranges. It's a very interesting thing because there's this research showing that this is a Teochew custom, so from southern China custom. But in Singapore, it is this saying that it's a Cantonese custom, because if you give Mandarin oranges, it's called gum in Cantonese, which actually means gold. So if you give people gum, you're giving them gold, wishing them good luck. And the interesting thing is that if you go to China, there's no such custom of giving just 2 oranges. This is a custom in Singapore and Malaysia, unique to this whole region here. And then red packets, of course, is essential. So after you exchange Mandarin oranges, your seniors will give you red packets, especially those who are married. Okay, some, if you are maybe elders, but you're not married or single, you might not give out red packets. They might replace it with another kind of gift. Okay, but red packets in Singapore is reserved for Chinese New Year. But other races has adopted this custom. So during Hari Raya, you notice that the Muslim community, they give out green packets. And during Deepavali, the Hindu community give out purple packets. Okay, so these are all signs of blessings. The day 7, the very important day where it's everyone's birthday. We call this 人日. 人 is human or people. 日 day, so everyone's birthday today. So sometimes people wish you happy birthday on the 7th day of Chinese New Year. This is a day where it is said humans were made by this deity called Nuwa. So everyone was made on this 7th day. And Singapore and Malaysia has this unique custom of what we call lo hei. This dish on the right side is actually called yusheng. Yu means fish, sheng is raw, so a raw fish salad. But this is not something that has a long tradition. Yusheng was created actually in Singapore. Okay, the custom of eating raw fish was from Guangdong, China, a coastal province. It's just basically raw fish slices with some condiments. But when it came to Singapore, and in the 1960s, 4 local chefs, Cantonese chefs, so Cantonese are known to be very good chefs, famous for their cooking. And they decided to create a dish with a lot of vegetable ingredients, and there's a sweet sauce and also plum sauce. And they call it 七彩鱼生, so a 7-colored raw fish salad. Of course, no one really knows why they created this dish, but of course, one of our more informed guests might be that this is a way of drawing clients, customers to their business, because having Chinese New Year celebration, you want to have a dish that's colorful, has atmosphere, ambiance, this is interesting. And because the Cantonese dish, so it has a Cantonese action. We call it lo hei. So lo is to bring it up, tossing up, hei is to rise. So lo hei Cantonese is, yusheng is the Chinese name of the dish. So lo hei can be the action, and it can also be called the name of the dish. Okay, so there are 3 main steps to lo hei. I'm sure you are familiar with it. So first one is when you throw in an ingredient, you say an auspicious phrase. So with the chopstick, you toss the salad as high as you can after all the ingredients are set. Right, the higher you go, the better luck you get. So most of the time after this whole session, you notice that food is all around the table. Okay, no one picks that up because that's quite embarrassing in Chinese culture. And so I would say that there are 6 main ingredients that we have inside the yusheng, okay, and what to say along with it. The first one on the left side, raw fish, okay. We say 年年有余 because fish is 鱼 in Chinese, and which means abundance in every year. Then once you throw in pomelo, we say 大吉大利, because pomelo looks like a very huge orange. Orange is 吉 嘛, so 大吉大利 meaning good luck and great prosperity. And the next one, carrots, radish, okay, because it's red in color. Chinese pronounce it 红, so it's 鸿运当头, so good luck shines on you. And green radish, so green carrots, because green is 青 in Chinese, so it's 青春永驻, wishing you good wealth, eternal youth, sorry. And then this cracker, okay, is a favorite of youngsters. So I can tell you that most youngsters don't like vegetables, so they always go for this golden cracker. And golden cracker is pronounced as 黄金 in Chinese. So the wishing is 黄金满地, okay, the whole area, whole floor covered with gold. And the very important sauce, which is a plum sauce, it's sweet and sour. So it's 甜甜蜜蜜. So 甜 is sweet, 蜜 is actually coming together. So 甜甜蜜蜜, sweet and loving relationships. So these are the 6 key ingredients. If you go to a restaurant, the waiter would actually put it down for you and to shout all these different phrases. But because this is COVID situation, we actually can't do that. But you can go down to App Store to download the different apps that actually helps you shout all these phrases instead. And on the 9th day of the Chinese New Year, okay, we have this custom of praying to the heavenly God. So 拜天公. This was a Hokkien custom, a Hokkien Taoist custom. But interestingly, because Singapore is where a lot of different dialect groups, largely Southern China dialect groups living in Singapore. So different dialect groups actually adopted this Hokkien custom. Okay, and why did the Hokkiens actually have this custom? It was because it was said that during the Ming Dynasty, so I think 1500s, a group of the Hokkiens were stuck in the bamboo forest. And they were being attacked by the bandits. So they prayed to the heavenly God for help. And then they successfully evaded the bandits. And that is why they pray to the heavenly God on the 9th every year. And that's why it's a Hokkien custom. And if you notice at the back of this photo on the right side, there are bamboos, okay? Basically to remember, to commemorate that event. And so on the 9th day, you see on the pavements, there'll be bamboos and some paper ashes that are offerings, okay? Basically, it's to pray to the heavenly God. Okay, so now we go into the food part, okay? Nian Gao, if you see this sticky red color cake, okay, on the right side, this is something that is eaten during Chinese New Year. It's extremely sweet, okay, extremely sweet. You have to cut it into small pieces to eat. Don't eat the whole thing, okay? You'll definitely die of diabetes, okay? So Nian Gao, the word Nian is New Year. Gao is higher. So having this Nian Gao, it means that every year you go higher. It's actually something that is to wish someone prosperity, improvement in their health, and also promotion. So maybe if you are expecting promotion from a boss, you can give this to your boss, okay? And the unique thing about this is something, this is also from China, but in Singapore, we wrapped it differently in coconut and banana leaves because we couldn't find the original leaves in China. So in Singapore, we replaced it with different ingredients. And pineapple tarts. I'm sure if you have been to a Chinese family during the New Year, pineapple tarts is a staple. It's where everyone serves pineapple tarts. But it serves as Chinese New Year because in Hokkien, pineapple is called ong lai. So ong lai, ong means prosperity in Hokkien. Lai means to arrive or to come. So when you eat pineapples, it means to have prosperity. Okay, so if you notice during Chinese New Year, when people, whether they pray or they consume, there will always be pineapple because that's representing prosperity. But the most interesting thing is everyone, and basically almost everyone in Singapore, take it for granted that pineapple tart is a Chinese New Year snack, traditional Chinese New Year snack. But in fact, it is not traditional at all. It was only introduced to Chinese New Year probably in the last 100 to 200 years at most. Okay, largely because of colonialism, when the Peranakans probably adopted or learned how to bake from the Dutch, because the baking technique is not traditional Chinese. So if you look for traditional Chinese cuisine, baking is not something that you will find. But if you look at Cantonese snacks, there will be some baking involved because of, again, colonial influence. Okay. Besides pineapple tarts, if you think about it, it's another Chinese New Year snack that is actually non-Chinese, which is love letters. Love letters, again, it's because of baking powder and flour. So the way it's being baked is actually learned, again, influence from the Dutch. So the Peranakans actually learned a lot from the Dutch. And then there's a distinctive Chinese Singaporean celebrations, okay? Chingay, lion dance, and river hongbao. So lion dance is not that, it's distinctive in a different way. I'll share later. Okay, so lion dance. There are two types of lion dance in the world. The first one is what we call the northern lion. The second one is the southern lion. In Singapore, this lion on the left side is what we call the South lion, because I mentioned a lot of dialect groups in Singapore actually from the south of China. Okay, so this is how it looks like. The northern China will have a different appearance. So if you look at period dramas, Chinese period dramas in the palace, they have northern lions. And the distinctive of lion dance in Singapore is that it is not a Chinese-centric dance. It is largely multiracial. Okay, there's a lot of Malay and Indian dancers that are taking part in this traditional custom. And I would say that the numbers are increasing over the years, okay, because lesser Chinese are interested in this traditional custom. And then there's one very interesting thing. If you have seen a lion dance in Singapore, when the lion is actually moving, they will lean down on the floor. They will actually something like lie down. In fact, the dancer inside is peeling the orange to form a number or a word, okay? If it's a word, then it's going to be 4 words for prosperity. If it's numbers, it'll be 4 characters, because you know Chinese, like numbers, so they can get the numbers to buy lottery, 4D. So this is a very important custom. And it's unique to Singapore and Malaysia. If you go to China, this is not something that they would do. So it's something that's evolved in Singapore. And then River Hongbao. River Hongbao is a whole festival of performances, fireworks, and carnival games. Okay, because traditional Chinese, there's this spring lantern festival on the 15th day. Okay, Yuan Xiao. But in Singapore, because Yuan Xiao is more of a northern Chinese festival. Okay, in Singapore, we are more of southern Chinese influence. So this River Hongbao goes on for 15 days from the first day of Chinese New Year until the 15th day. And then there are a lot of floats and performances. This year is going to be at Gardens by the Bay. And this was actually done up because there was a period of time where Singaporeans love to leave the country during Chinese New Year. And we have a term for this called 避年, which is to run away from New Year, because people are afraid that their relatives ask them, when are you getting married? How much are you making? So people get very annoyed by these questions, or offended in a way, but because they are your seniors, you have to take it. So people ran away. So the government came out with this River Hongbao concept for people to stay in Singapore. And then another one is Chingay. Chingay is a Hokkien term, which means costumes and masquerade. And then there's a lot of multi-ethnic performances. Okay, Chingay has its history in Penang, Malacca. Okay, where the Chinese actually did a lot of street performances related to temples and religion. But in Singapore, of course, the religion, as a secular state, the religion element is not that strong. Eventually, it became something that's run by the People's Association. So it's secular and multiracial. So in the recent years, there were actually performances flying in from Japan and Korea. So it's more of like international performances now. And I think this year is entirely going online. So because of COVID, but you can still watch performances. Okay. Yeah. So if I were to summarize the entire Chinese New Year in Singapore, so why is it so distinctive, or what makes it distinctive? It's actually cultural interactions, where the different dialect groups, largely Southern Chinese, okay, and ethnic cultures coming together. There's local adaptations, like how in our food, Nian Gao uses local banana leaves, and adapting to local regulations, because we couldn't use fireworks, so there was this Chingay. And then Chinese New Year customs actually evolved over time. Okay, like this year's COVID situation, we couldn't do lo hei anymore. Then there are apps to actually help people do lo hei, to shout out the phrases. So there's a constant evolution in our customs. So this is what makes the Singaporean Chinese New Year distinctive and special. And that brings me to the end of the presentation. Thank you.
Oh, Shaun, absolutely amazing. You're going to make me look really good in front of my partner's parents over the next couple of weeks, because I've got some absolute nuggets. And my mother-in-law is a Peranakan as well. So to know the history of the pineapple tart is really great. So thank you so much. Just whilst we've got everybody straight after your presentation, just before we can put some questions in for Shaun. So please do enter them now. But if we can just use this time while people are thinking about any questions for Shaun, to just put your video on. We're going to try and take a couple of group photos, if that's okay, just so that we can share that we've all got together, and we can put that out and say that we've had a really good session with Shaun. So just for my team in the background, I'll just do a quick 3, 2, 1 and a big smile. So 3, 2, 1. I'll just do one more just in case they've missed that. So 3, 2, 1. There we go. So has anybody got any questions for Shaun? I'll give it a couple of seconds if there's anything coming through. Got a quick one here, Shaun. Do you think the young Singaporeans will continue these traditions, and do they get taught in school, or is it just family members that pass down the traditions to them?
I would say that most of these traditions are dying traditions. For example, like praying to the heavenly God, this is something that if you notice over the years, the elderly are the ones carrying it out. But like exchanging Mandarin oranges and chicken red packets, this is compulsory, I would say, and youngsters are happy to get the money. So this would go on, but the rest might be dying out over the years. And I would say when I was slightly younger, my friends and I, we preferred to go out to watch movies over the New Year, then visit my parents or relatives. And most of these customs are taught by family members. And schools basically, what they share about, it's just performances in school, nothing much about the customs.
Oh, great stuff. And obviously, so handing over a red packet is very traditional. Do you think that will ever go digital? Do you think it'll be sort of a pay law or a pay now equivalent where you can ping your red packets to people in families, or is that a step too far, Shaun?
No, this year there is actually pay now for red packets provided by local bank. So you just need to scan and they will send you a virtual red packets.
Oh, very good. Ilya's got a question. I actually don't know the answer to this. Is line dancing allowed in workspaces during phase 3? Because I've not heard any line dancing over the last couple of weeks. And surely, is it still happening? And is it allowed in workspaces, Shaun? Do you know? If not, we can try and find out for you if you don't know.
I'm not very sure, but from my understanding, because it is considered performance. So performances in non-performance places, it's not allowed. So if it's a theater, if it's a performance venue, yes. But if it's in a workplace, I don't think so.
Good stuff. Can you tell us about the ideal amounts to put in red packets and what amounts are unlucky? That's a great question. Is there anything sort of auspicious that you do?
Okay, I would say for the amount, it's very important. If you are going to give to your parents, basically anything that is more than 50 is advisable for parents. Okay, and it's always giving in even numbers. Do not give in odd numbers. All right. The best is you end with an 8. If you're for juniors, for your relative's son, I think it really depends on how close you are. But again, I think the minimum amount is 8. Personally, I would give 10. It looks better. Don't give 2 because they will definitely judge you. Okay, even though we always say that red packet is a blessing, but I can guarantee people will judge you if you put in $2.
Brilliant stuff. Got quite a few questions coming through actually, which is really good. Serene says she noticed that quite a lot of Singaporean families celebrate Chinese New Year dinners with a steamboat dinner. Do you know what the reason or the heritage is behind that?
Okay, because during New Year in China, it's a very cold period. So when everyone comes together for a hot pot, it is a very nice feeling when it's warm. So basically to keep warmth. And everyone can cook together. So the main idea is to keep warmth, and also the idea of a round pot for people to cook. It represents coming together again.
Oh, fabulous. And just linked to the amounts to put in red packets as well, Chris has asked, why not odd numbers? Why is it that it is even numbers? And why new notes? Why is that important, Shaun?
Okay, so there's this saying that good things comes in pairs. So if you notice in Chinese, everything that is even is good. Anything that is odd number is not so good. Because I did heard about bad luck numbers like 3, 7. So odd numbers are generally not that advisable. So even if you go to a wedding, do not give odd numbers. So I did have this relative who was a friend who was rather offended when she received an odd number red packet. She said that someone was wishing that I break up or I get a divorce. I was rather taken aback. So there are people who are that particular about this.
Oh wow, no, that's really interesting to hear. And there's a link question here as well. So a lot of us on the call are not Singaporean. So Diana's question is, how can foreign residents, expatriates like ourselves that work and are embedded in the community here in Singapore, how can we better engage with our neighbours that are celebrating Chinese New Year? Are there any things that so the British business community as individuals we can do to help get involved and sort of understand a bit more about the culture?
Okay. I think this one possible way of doing is I do remember when I was in school, I was largely in the Chinese school all the way with minimal contact with other races. But when I was in junior college, I had Malay classmates, and what they did was they actually got Mandarin oranges for all Chinese classmates during Chinese New Year, and I think most of us felt very touched. I think this is something that can be done on our side as well. If you have neighbors, buy them oranges, 1 box or 2 box, I think that is a very nice gesture. Yeah. Oh, I think I missed Chris's question just now about why new notes.
Yeah, sorry.
New notes is actually a recent custom. Okay. In the past, when we talk about red packets, we call it 压岁钱, which is something just for New Year. Clearly, new notes, new coins is not something that is easily available in the past. So new notes is something that is, I would say, in the recent 30 to 40 years, it would be linked with like everything during New Year must be new. So that's related to it. It brings you good luck, new prosperity. But if it's whether it has a long tradition, I would say no.
Oh, very interesting. Royson's added, is it customary to give red packets to facilities teams around the building, such as the building manager, security staff and cleaners? What's the protocol there?
I would say it's not customary, but it buys you a lot of goodwill.
Good answer.
Yes.
No,
this is for sure.
Stuart asks, do Chinese people add 1 to their age on their birthday or on Renri date?
Depends on, I would say historically, the adding is on winter solstice. Because winter solstice used to be the original Chinese New Year. It was only in the Han Dynasty that Chinese New Year became the Lunar New Year, which is following the lunar calendar. And most people would add 1 day during the winter solstice. Otherwise, Chinese New Year is fine as well.
Fabulous. I think I missed a question as well around the significance of, and I'm going to pronounce this wrong, Qi Pao during Chinese New Year. So I think Ime has asked that question. Okay,
Qi Pao, so it's a traditional Chinese attire. Interestingly, Qi Pao is actually not Chinese if you go into the history. Qi is a word for Manchurian. So the last dynasty of China was the Qing dynasty. So it is the Manchurian rulers and their attire called Qi Fu. And then during the Republican period that followed Qing China, they decided to have a national attire. So the wider cut of the Qi Fu was tightened to become Qi Pao, the ones that you see today. And then it is now synonymous as a Chinese attire, but traditionally it's not. And people wear this during Chinese New Year basically just to have a kind of Chinese kind of feeling, but it is not customary to wear it.
Fabulous. Last year was obviously a very challenging year. This year's a challenging year as well with the pandemic that's going on. Helen from my team's asked about rolling a pineapple in the office. Does it bring good luck? Should we be doing it? Should it help us all to prosper?
Okay, I would say this is again a very unique Singapore and Malaysia custom. You don't find anywhere else. When you throw it, we say huat. Huat, it means prosperity. So when you throw it, it is huat. So there are a few times we throw pineapple when you move into a new office, when you move into a new home, when you are renovating. This is what we always do to roll. And whether it brings good luck, I think it is better to believe in it than not to do it.
I like that, Shaun. Helen, I think we'll be rolling a pineapple in the office. Just hope it doesn't make too much of a mess. And one last question that Nicole's asked actually from my team, and a really good question, I think, as well, because the dances are so amazing. And I think it's something that we all look forward to. And she's asked, how long does it take to create a line dance costume? Because they are so intricate, aren't they? And actually, how long does it take to train to actually become a line dancer as well? Is sort of my follow-up question, because they're absolutely brilliant.
Okay, so for the attire, I would say that there are two parts to it. One is the lion's head that is no longer created in Singapore. Then there's another part is the back drapery and the pants worn by the dancers. So all these are done and designed in China now. So you can get it off Taobao actually. If I remember correctly, creating the lion's head alone, okay, the structure takes a month. Yes.
Wow.
So the master can only produce a limited number per year.
And how long does it take to train to be a line dancer?
To train, I did interview one of the dancers. So to be a really good dancer takes years, because when you enter, you do not immediately become a dancer. You learn how to play the instruments. So the gongs, the drums, the different kind of instruments before you move on to dancing. So it can take anywhere between 3 to 5 years to become a real qualified dancer.
Wow, absolutely amazing. Shaun, thank you. That's been absolutely brilliant. And thank you for sort of answering all of our questions as well. It's been a really, really fabulous opportunity to share the history and the traditions of Chinese New Year with us today. So I guess thank you very much for all your questions that have come through. We'll break into some breakout sessions now, where hopefully you get the opportunity to meet some new chamber members, or some current chamber members, or some non-members, we'll, for those that we've not seen since Christmas. So what we'll do is we'll sort of break out, we'll get all this sorted for you in the background, so don't worry about it. We'll probably time the groups around about 10 minutes, roughly about groups of 5, so that it gives you an opportunity to meet some connections and ping your virtual business card to people as well. So get to know each other, exchange your digital business cards, have a bit of fun, and I will see you all back in the main room just before 6 o'clock, when I'll say a quick goodbye with some closing remarks. So look forward to seeing some of you in some breakout rooms now. Welcome back. I hope you made some good connections. It was great to see some familiar faces. So thanks for those that were in my 2 groups. Sorry I had to put up with my voice for a bit longer. But just before I say goodbye, I do want to say a huge thank you to Shaun Choh. Just a reminder, he's the Assistant Curator at the Singapore Chinese Cultural Centre, for giving us his time today. So thank you so much, Shaun. It was a really brilliant session. I've learned so much. I've scribbled 3 pages of notes. So thank you for also making me look good in front of my family as well over the next couple of weeks. Also a huge thank you to our beverage partners, Harry's Bar. They and I hope to see you down at Boat Quay over the next couple of days. So we'll drop you details of where you can get your free beer as well. And just very, very briefly, the Chamber has some fantastic webinars coming up. We've got a Maintain and Sustain Your Employees event on the 16th of Feb. We've also launched our International Women's Day 2021 virtual conference as well, which starts on the 4th of March. We had over 300 delegates that attended 3 sessions last year, and it's looking really brilliant. We've got an amazing lineup this year. So all thanks to the Women in Business group and the Diversity and Inclusion Committee as well for supporting with all their work with that. And we've also managed to land an ex-Dragon from Dragon's Den, BBC's Dragon's Den, on there as well. So looking really, really good. And as a chamber, we maintain our alignment with both Singapore and UK agendas. So there's lots going on around the CPTPP, around COP26. And for example, we've got a carbon capture, use and storage event coming up through the Energy and Utilities Committee. So a lot of that is being pulled together too. So some really good stuff. Please have a look on the website. You'll receive a feedback form. Please do fill that out. It allows us as a chamber to understand what you liked and what you didn't like, and how we can shape better sessions for you in the future. So that leaves me to say a huge thank you to you for all joining us today. It has been great to see your faces. I can't wait to see you again soon. I hope to see you in person. Have a good rest of the evening. And if it's not too early to say, Gong Si Fa Chai. Have a good night.